Kia ora, good afternoon. Welcome to the Eye in the Sky Show podcast. So today I would like to talk about what do I want to talk about? I had a dream and I've been sitting with it all day. I've been up since I think I woke up about 7:30 this morning because, doing the research for these podcasts and stuff absolutely wipes me out. So I pass out very early and I wake up usually quite early, do my chores and, get on with my day. But I slept in today because it's just been exhausting doing all of this stuff I've been doing over the last couple of weeks. But I'm loving every minute of it. Trust me. Um, this is why I'm making this podcast, because I had a dream. And in my dream, I was sitting on top of the pyramid from the other dreams that I have been posting in my LinkedIn and that, and my Instagram and such. The one where I met Chonsu and where Hoth, my Egyptian gods have been teaching me about quantum magnetics, perfecting quantum magnetics, manipulating time to manifest reality, time jumping, time manipulation, and also, in perfecting my work as an occult scientist so that I could bring these podcasts to you. Because working with the planet, working with geology, the geological formations of Papatūānuku are go hand in hand with what I am as a high priestess as well. So, I can't talk about the universe, I can't talk on behalf of the planet, I can't talk on behalf of the dead or, the voiceless and that if I can't communicate with them myself. I have to know it in order to teach it. I have to understand it in order to know it. I have to live it in order to experience it so that I can teach it, and the one thing that I am trying to do more than anything in the world is educate people that the paranormal is nothing to fear and that faith is so important. It doesn't matter who the God or the religion or the faith or the understanding, but embracing something that makes you a better person, regardless of what people think, regardless of what people do, regardless of how other people judge you, is so important to your ascension process, because the whole point of us being here now is to try and get it right this time so that we don't have to come back next time bringing with us a whole pile of karmic debt that follows behind, paying off ancestral debt now, on behalf of our ancestors, and in the very least, that's in the very least, coming back to a life that we choose to live, where we get to decide what our heaven on earth is. When you get it right, when you perfect your mission in this life, it means that you get to choose your heaven in the next. So in this dream, I was sitting on top of the mountain because I'm getting ready to construct and put together my first prototype for my biorhythmic field generator, because we are so close to getting justice for, what my sons and I will put through with my ex-husband and, his work and everything like that, the cult and, blah, blah, blah. And we're going to go out into the world and take my prototype and record our shows and show people how to fix what our ancestors and, we broke in this world, on this planet. I was watching a video this morning when I was doing some research while I was sitting with the dream that I had, and I found somebody, I don't know who he was, but he was preaching. He was standing at the pulpit and he was preaching about climate change, saying we aren't destroying this planet. The planet was here to be used, because God replenishes it, and, blah, 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 talking like he knew that the planet wasn't suffering, and that's a lie. He was a white man who obviously has no understanding of the concept of the fact that the planet is a living, breathing, living organism, and that yes, she is able to heal herself, but she can only heal herself when man leaves her alone. And we're not leaving her alone. So it is a misguided and ignorant preaching that he taught in his sermon, that the planet is here to be used because God takes care of the planet, therefore the planet is here to take care of us. And that is true in its simplest form, but wrong in the fact that, like if you chip away at a boulder, eventually it's going to become a pebble, and that's what we're doing. Earth is the boulder, and we are chipping away at her till she will eventually become a pebble. And how can 7 billion people, as well as the animals and plant life, all be sustained on a pebble, you know? So I do not embrace global warming. I embrace the concept of, the sun going through cycles. We have had millennia upon millennia of ice ages and tropical ages and, heat waves and stuff like that, because, the sun's going to go through the same cycles as every other planet in our solar system. But what I do embrace is the concept of, we are hunting animals that don't deserve, we're hunting animals to extinction, our predatory animals that were put here by God to take care of the overpopulation of the ones that are prolific breeders. We're hunting bears and wolves and that because they're inconvenient to man. But they were put here to take care of like the deers and the rabbits, and do you know what I mean? And we're hunting our whales to extinction, and we're killing sharks for soup. Like the way we are treating this planet is absolutely disgusting. And we are chipping away at the boulder that is very quickly becoming a rock. We're pumping sewage. I saw a news article yesterday about how there's a beach in Spain, I believe, in the Mediterranean somewhere, where the people weren't allowed to swim in the water because there was so much fecal matter in the water it was unsafe to swim in. Why are we dumping fecal matter in the ocean? There are countries like in Japan and that who are turning human waste into energy, which is a brilliant concept. We can recycle our waste. They use human urine to make bricks, which is that's perfect. It's brilliant. Scientists have been working on a way to turn human waste into building materials, and like bricks, and reusable energy and that sort of thing. And that's what we're supposed to be doing, not dumping them in our oceans, where then like our crabs and our lobsters and that eat all the stuff that we dump, and then we're eating them and getting sick. And it's a never-ending cycle of destruction. And we have to do something about it. When our water is no longer clean to drink or swim in or bathe in, we're in serious trouble. When we're killing off our bees because of the pesticides that we're putting, in our crop spraying and all that, like, we're in serious trouble. We have no control over what the sun does, whether the sun's going to melt the ice or not. That has nothing to do with us, and it had nothing to do with cows or anything like that. But if we as a human race don't start being more responsible with how we treat this planet, we are eventually going to chip away at her until she is a grain of sand, let alone a pebble, and then nothing and no one will sustain themselves. And we are supposed to be getting off this planet and leaving her and everything else to evolve naturally, so that we can go and traverse the universe and go and explore with the rest of them that were smart enough to stop fighting each other and leave their planets they knew that were, dying, and go and traverse the universe and see what's on the other side of those wormholes. You know, that's what we're supposed to be doing, but we aren't evolving, we're devolving. There are pockets of light spreading up all over the place, all over the world, where there's glimmer of hope out there. The hope is there, the love is there, the way forward is there, in small pockets of people and communities and organisations where they've had to come up against the dark side, basically. Because, you know, such is the journey of the person seeking the light, that they must first do battle with the darkness. And, you know, that's what I have just done. And this is one of the reasons why I'm doing this post, because in my dream, when I was sitting on top of this pyramid, like I was just, you know, there were the three pyramids, Pyramid of Giza. I was sitting in the middle one. It was really high, and I was just, my heart was hurting, because it was like so many changes are happening in my life. So many things are changing now that are happening so fast. It's been a lot to take in. You know, I have had the last 50 years of my life completely burnt down, and the only things that have been left standing is my drive and determination to do my science, my sister, my two sons, and everything else that I have in my life is brand new. The people in it, the concepts, the ideas, you know, my body, my face, the way I dress, the way I act, the way I speak, the way I think, the way I conduct myself, everything has changed. Except in this dream, when I was sitting there and my heart was hurting, because it was like, it's like I was contemplating my life and where I've been and where I'm going, and I'm stuck in the middle of the past and the future, because I'm, you know, I've been put on pause while I wait to get my sons and get justice. And in this dream, I could hear, you know, when you hear Native Americans and they do that, you know, like those, like that. I heard that, but it was really loud, like it echoed. And I looked and I could hear, like, it was like thunder. Boom, 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 boom. The ground was shaking. The pyramids were shaking. And it was like I could hear horses who, just like a stampede of horses. And this dust storm just came towards me, and I started to realize that it was all these men on horseback. And then I realised that it was the 7 foot, the giant men on horseback, back from the dreams that I had been documenting on my Instagram and in my LinkedIn. I'll put links in the description box below, mostly of Instagram, but the most important ones that carry the most weight are going to be my Instagram link, my LinkedIn links from 2 weeks ago, because this all means something, I promise. And I realised it was the men from my dream, where I had a dream. I was standing out in a field, with the sun pounding on my, you know, the sun was shining down on me. Everything was illuminated, and it was so hot. And in the dream, I say something about the sun is ruled by Leo. Now, on Saturday we come into Leo season, so I know this was important. And these men on horseback, they were all Indigenous. And again, this is all documented on Instagram from last year and the year before. And they started circling the pyramid. And as they were circling the pyramid, they had their staffs or their pikes in their hand, and they were raising it up, and it was like making a dust cloud swirl up the pyramid until it almost reached me. And I was getting scared, because I was like, oh my Lord, what the hell's going on? And so I stood up, trying to get away from the dust cloud. And then as the dust cloud reached my face, I like took a deep breath, because I was like like that. I took a deep breath, and it was like I found myself landing on top of a mountain or a rock formation, a red rock formation, from a dream that I had had in the August of last year, I think it was. Again, I'll put links in the description box. You can go there and check this dream out. And in this dream, Thundercloud, or Thunderbird, the Native American, god of thunder and lightning. He shoots thunder and lightning from his eyes, and stuff like that. He has been with me a lot over the last couple of years, teaching me about Indigenous faith and culture, and he taught me about the legend of the white buffalo calf woman, and all that sort of thing. And I was back on top of that Red Rock Mountain, with the fire burning. There was a campfire. I remember in the dream, there was a fire that was in the rock, and when I looked into the fire, I could see wolves. I could see the future. And in this dream on Instagram, I was saying, when I put my face up to the rock to greet the rock, I said, "Hello, Father," and I kissed the rock, and I could see like a big A with a shooting star coming out of it. And I had assumed that it was talking about America. But I knew that the A had something to do with Aithusa, or to do with, my North Star. Brehenies Aithusa is the real North Star in the Cepheus constellation. Now, Aithusa starts with A. It's a Welsh word, and it means light of the sun, which, if you remember, if you go back to the dream where I first met the giant men on horseback that were protecting me, one was wearing blue and yellow, and the others were wearing blue and brown, and they formed they went in like this triangular formation, and as I walked forward, them on their giant horses were protecting me. And in the dream where I went up to the Red Rock Mountain, I could see the letter A with a star shooting out. And I realised that it stands for Aithusa, not America, not Arizona, but Aithusa, light of the sun. And because we are coming into Leo season, I knew that this was all a sign for me to pay attention and to dig deeper. So in the dream, when I breathed up the cloud of smoke, the cloud of dust, it wasn't dust, it was golden light. It was the gold frequency, or the God frequency, the atomic frequency. And I landed on top of the Red Rock Mountain. The fire was there. And in the first dream, wolves came out of it. But in this dream, an Indigenous man was standing there, and I knew who he was immediately because I've been dreaming about him since I was a little girl. And he just said to me, "Look back and remember, and you will find me waiting for you in the past." And then he vanished. And then I started to realise that, 2 weeks ago, I had an incident where I got pulled into a jump from a missing woman in Canada, and while I was doing a live report on her missing persons case, documenting everything that I was seeing in her case, I haven't looked into it, I haven't investigated to see if she's even real, I haven't done any of that. I just did as I was told. I documented who she was, what I was being shown, and I left it at that. But as I was documenting everything, I started to have a series of revelations that started to make it pretty obvious that all my life, all the dreams that I'd been having about Head of the Eagle and the grandmother tree, and getting to the coyote and turning left at the coyote and following the animals till I get to the horses where I'm supposed to look up and see the stars, and when I get to the horses and look up and see the star, the answers will be revealed. Well, this is the dream that I had with the letter A that had the star coming out of it. Again, links in the description box so you can see, because I did a diagram of it. And And when I was working on this missing persons case with this girl who said her name was Kylie, I started to realise that I had been misinterpreting my dreams all my life, and that I'm not supposed to be going to America. I'm supposed to be going to Canada. And it's been freaking me out a little bit because I had always been told that I would never be allowed to go anywhere I wasn't safe and protected. And I said to my sons the other day, while looking up, visas and immigration laws and all that sort of thing to get into Canada, I've been seeing pockets of things on the news about Canada that's kind of freaked me out a little, because it's, it doesn't feel like it's a great place to go at the moment for, like, it made me nervous. But I've just kept it in the back of my mind because I know that, I know my connection to God, I know my connection to my ancestors, and I know that, I 100% have faith in everything that I'm being shown. My interpretation of what I've been shown hasn't been correct until now. And I think because it's been in the back of my mind, like, are you sure we're supposed to be going to Canada? Because, like, things don't seem to be going too great there, And then, of course, I had this dream. And upon interpreting this dream, I started to realize that I received my answer. Because, like the man said, look to the past to find the answers for the future. Like, I started doing some investigating, and I found some dreams where I've been clearly leaving messages to myself, you know, um, that my dad has been a part of. And my dad is the reason why I'm doing these podcasts with the unsolved mysteries and the unsolved murders. And, like I said in my podcast yesterday, when I worked on the Ziggy Adamski case, my dad is the reason why I worked on that case. And my father has clearly been guiding me throughout this whole process. And what I've come to realise is that I'm going to have, or I'm supposed to have, a connection to, or someone who is in the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. The giant men on horseback, I believe, are the Royal Canadian Mounted Police, and I believe that I am supposed to be meeting, or I am about to meet, someone who works for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police who is an Indigenous man, or he works for the Indigenous division of the RCMP. And I am going to put a link in the description box, because I'm going to post this on LinkedIn, and I'm going to put up the photos that I've just found, because while I was doing my investigation, I decided to look up the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Indigenous Division, and the badges that I found for them blew me away, because I have been documenting as far back as 2018 of me seeing orange. The campfire, seeing a campfire, I found a RCMP Indigenous Division badge where it is a campfire. Well, not a campfire, but a fire. I was on top of the mountain, on top of the rock with the fire burning. I talk about seeing fire all the time. And in one of the badges, there is a fire burning. Also, as well, in one of the badges, there are feathers, and I keep having dreams of an indigenous chieftain who keeps handing me feathers, and I was scared and giving them back to him. And then I had a dream that my mother, which I documented in 2007, that my mother gave me some feathers. And then I had a dream that St. Joan of Arc, when I was in the zombie park that I thought was Salem, but now I know that there's a St. Joan of Arc Memorial Park in Canada, and she was handing me feathers, and she was saying in my zombie dream, which is in the LinkedIn post that I did for the missing woman, she said to me, who you thought your husband was wrong. Buffalo is coming. He's coming. And now the thing is, I thought Buffalo was supposed to be, I thought Buffalo was, my beloved, my true love, the one that I was supposed to be with. But it turns out that on the RCMP badge is a buffalo. And so buffalo is symbolic of the fact that my protection is, because buffalo are the totem for ground protect. They're the ground eyes. They connect what is on earth to the spirits. And I had to become the buffalo in order to see the buffalo. Do you see what I mean? So I had to go through the experience that I've had to go through over the last couple of years so that I could become grounded and be removed from all the low vibration stuff. I had to go through my ascension, rise up from the underworld to become grounded in earth so that I could become the buffalo, so I could see the buffalo that were coming, to protect me. And so what I'm being told in this dream is that I'm being asked to have faith that Canada is where I'm supposed to be going, that my future is in broadcasting and radio and podcasting. I'm going to start my own radio station and make my own shows and broadcast everything. I'm going to do it all myself. And I am being told that Canada is where I'm supposed to be going, and I am going to have protection there. When you look at the badges that I've just found for the Royal Canadian Mounted Police Indigenous Division, and then you look at everything that I have been posting over the last few years with the different things I've been seeing. Like, one of their badges is literally an eagle, like the head of an eagle with its wings coming out over the badge. And I mean, if you know my story, I talk about the eagle all the time. The eagle is very prolific in my dreams. And again, I had to become the eagle in order to see the eagle. And the man that stepped out of the fire in my dream this morning was telling me to remember to go back to the past to see my future. And so I have just stepped into a massive portal of a quantum loop where, through him reminding me to go back to my past, it is showing me my future. That when I look into my future, it's showing me my past. When I look into my past, it's showing me my future. And together, it is bringing me to the now. So my past and my future have now been connected to now. So it's like I am now stepping into, or have stepped into, this new beginning based on the messages that have been left to me since I was a child, that I've been documenting right up to this point, where it all now finally makes sense. And then when I was finding some of the things that I was documenting in my dreams, I found one where I was talking to Jesus on Olive Mountain. I think it is the Mountain of Olives. Again, link in the description box. And I felt compelled to get my Bible out, and it just every fibre of my being, because what I usually do is, when I need guidance, when I'm feeling like, overwhelmed by everything that's coming, because I know what's coming, and it is very overwhelming for me. Because I'm a quiet person. I like to just keep my head down and do my work, and I have a very small social circle, and I just stick to myself, and I'm doing my investigation to take to court, to fight for my boys, and I to get justice, and I'm working on my podcast and that, and I've been building my future in that. But as I'm building everything for our future, I'm also getting glimpses of the future, and it's overwhelming for somebody like me to know what is coming. And so I felt compelled, every fibre of my being. And what I usually do is I just let the Bible fall open where it needs to, where I believe that God and Jesus are, leaving me messages to read that pertain to what it is that I'm needing guidance with. and it fell on one page, and then as I pulled the Bible towards me, the page flipped and fell on another, and I want to read them to you because they're very apt with the dream that I documented where Jesus spoke to me on the Mountain of Olives. When you read the Mountain of Olives dream that I put up, what I'm about to read out is going to be pretty cool because it is very relevant to what I'm feeling, what I'm dealing with at the moment, and what is coming. So, first it was Matthew 4:5, and it's the Beatitudes. Now, I usually read the Beatitudes. When I was locked away, I was reading them every day because they gave me strength. But, they reminded me to count my blessings, to always count my blessings. But, I had moved on from that because now I keep the Beatitudes in my heart every day. But it fell on the Beatitudes, and the interesting thing is that the Beatitudes are what Jesus spoke to the Sermon on the Mount when he gave the Sermon on the Mount. So my Mountain of Olives dream. So I knew that this is where I was, being led to read. And it says, "Now when he saw the crowds, he went up to the mountainside and sat down. His disciples came to him, and he began to teach them, saying, 'Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they will be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who hunger and thirst for righteousness, for they will be filled. Blessed are the merciful, for they will be shown mercy. Blessed are the pure of heart, for they will see God. Blessed are the peacemakers, for they will be called sons of God. Blessed are those who are persecuted because of righteousness, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven.'" Because I recently found out that my ex-husband, the one that I'm doing battle with to get justice for against, had been telling people that the reason why I had lost my mind, the reason why I had gone crazy is because I have found God. So I've been dealing with a lot, I don't care. I don't, my faith is mine and I will die for my faith. But I have been dealing with a lot because people believed him that, if she's found God, she must be crazy. And that's why he's been telling people she found God and it's driven her crazy. And that's a sad attitude to have for someone who has no soul, It's because he has no soul that he would see it that way. But it's the fact that he had the people that, like his company and, the doctors at the hospital and that back him up and support him while my children and I were being abused because they decided that my faith as an Indigenous woman was a mental illness, and that's sad. That's why, part of our world is being destroyed because people are deciding that anyone who embraces God or a God or their faith must be mentally ill, when it is us that are the sane ones, and the people who have no soul are the ones who have no control over their psychological development, because when you have no soul, you have no conscience, and when you have no conscience, you have no light of creation, and when there is no light of creation, there is no God. So you are soulless, and you are, in darkness. And it's just sad that people who are in darkness think that they are righteous over the ones who live a righteous, virtuous life in the name of their gods and their ancestors. So where's the balance there? There is no balance. It is imbalanced. And it's one of the reasons why I'm so determined to get justice for all of those that have put my sons and I through this. Because I am not just fighting for me, but I'm fighting for my Indigenous rights, and I'm fighting for my God and my God's and my ancestors' rights to believe in whatever God guides us to be better people, you know. And I have always known that my work was going to be controversial, but I don't care about what anybody thinks about the work that I do, because I know the caliber of the work that I do, and I know that the right people find my guidance perfectly at the perfect time and the perfect way for them. So I have always maintained I am not here to please everyone. I'm only here to help those who understand what it is that I am preaching, who understand what it is that I'm trying to do, and who find peace and healing because of my work. And that's all I care about. So, I don't care about anybody else and what they think in regards to whether they understand physics or not. Um, like it is people who resonate at the Schumann frequency. Anyone who is in the Schumann resonance, that lower vibrational, believing what they're told in the media, believing what, people who sit and feed on gossip and nastiness, and who judge people and tear people apart, and that these are people that resonate at the Schumann frequency, who understand the paranormal to be dead people wandering the earth, when the higher vibrational people who actually are surrounded by the memories and the essence of the people who came before us, our ancestors who came before us, know the truth. And in speaking the truth, we have had to come up against darkness. And, I have just had my own battle, and I'm coming out the other side, and I'm kind of in between worlds at the moment. I have been put on pause, waiting for my sons. And then once I get my sons, I've gotten justice, and then we can go, and I will continue to bring my shows to you, and we will immigrate to Canada. And there's somebody waiting for me there that I think I'm supposed to work with. Um, I don't know who he is. I don't know how I'm supposed to meet him, but I know he is coming, because he came to me in this dream. And now I don't know if this podcast is calling out to him to let him know that I got his message, or whether, this is just a portent to the future. But the rest of the Beatitudes: blessed are you when people insult you, persecute you, and falsely say all kinds of evil against you because of me. Rejoice and be glad, because great is your reward in heaven. For in the same way they persecuted the prophets who came before you, like my ancestors, Al-Rashid, my Egyptian ancestors were horrendously persecuted in Egypt by the Saudis, by the Saudi royal household. My Al-Rashid ancestors were all but destroyed because of lies and allegations that were made against the Al-Rashid royal household of Egypt, who has spent hundreds of years, centuries, building themselves up to be a good democratic ruling empire. And because of lies and allegations made against, one person, my ancestors had to flee Egypt and spread themselves across the four corners of the globe to escape persecution, as did my Callaghan royal household. And, my Māori royal household, the Ngāti Raukawa people, I know Te Raupraha, and a lot of my ancestors on my Māori side, we were persecuted and hunted and treated very badly, had lands taken from us. And it was a real struggle for us to be able to hold our integrity and stand in our truth and our honour as a royal household. Which is why the tattoo on the back of my neck of the grandmother tree has the Ngāti Raukawa, or the Raukawa leaves coming out of it, because it's in honour and out of respect of my indigenous roots connected to New Zealand, Aotearoa. As I leave all of that behind, I will take New Zealand with me everywhere I go, so my ancestors are always with me, because I have been going through all of this to clear their names as well as my own. I don't even know why I'm getting emotional, because I'm not sad or anything. I can't explain it. It's like when your ancestors, and if you're not Indigenous, you're probably not going to understand this as much. Or if you're not deeply connected to your ancestral pride, your mana, your spirit, your ancestral spirit, you might not understand it. But when your ancestors come along and say to you, we have chosen you to be born to live a hard life, so that you can pay off the debts of the past of your people, but we promise you that when you come out of this and all debts have been paid, you are going to be given a clean slate, a brand new life. You are not going to recognize yourself. And then for 50 years, you take each step, each day as it comes, you fight each challenge as it is presented, with your dreams and your intuition and your insight and your faith as your guide. And then you think, oh, I'm never going to get to the end of this. I'm never going to see justice. This is never going to be over. I'm never going to find peace. And then all of a sudden you find yourself exactly where you thought you were never going to be. Because, like I have spent years plugging away, teaching myself how to conduct myself for making these podcasts and shows. I have spent years and years and years since I was a little girl teaching myself how to talk on radio, because I knew that I wanted to get into radio and broadcasting, because I have a lot that I want to share with people, about the things that I know about, like the paranormal and the supernatural, and overcoming struggles and dealing with the ascension process and all that, I've taken etiquette classes, and I stopped swearing, I stopped drinking, I got fit and healthy, because, how I present myself to the world, whether it is on my shows, whether it is through radio, it's important to me. I didn't want to, it would have been hypocritical of me to present myself as a wholesome, virtuous, traditional Indigenous woman, who is trying to be a leader for women and young girls, to be an inspiration for, women and young girls on how to overcome the struggles of, choosing bad relationships and, bad friendship dynamics, and, overcoming all the sort of adversities that are going to get thrown up at you by people who think that there's something wrong with you because you have dreams and hopes for the future, or that, what you're achieving is going to be impossible, because what it is because these people don't know how to dream, and these people are closed-minded. They can't see the potential and the possibility of the reality of someone's dreams and hopes and fantasies coming into reality, because these people don't know how to dream. And dreaming is part of manifesting. And, I have had so many people over the last 12 months say, give up. Like, you're never going to achieve your dream. This is never going to happen for you. And it was all now slowly starting to happen. I have been able to be in control of every single step of this process for me over the last 13 months, since I was, had to crawl my way out of hell. And now I'm starting to see everything fall into place. And all of a sudden, everything that I've been working towards, everything that I've been seeing and documenting since I was little, is all now coming into sight. It's all starting to fall into place. The dots have been connected, and the threads that have been sewn from my past into my future have now drawn a straight, clear, linear line to point an arrow, like the A in my dream, to point an arrow to where I'm supposed to be going. Photos that I have taken, dreams that I've documented, things that I have been posting and saying, like it's all now making sense. And I know exactly where I'm supposed to go. I know exactly where I'm supposed to be. And it is Canada. And there is somebody waiting for me there who either was or is connected to the Royal Canadian Mounted Police. He has a connection with wolves somehow. I have even figured out the Chetiwahe, what I say to grandmother in the dream since I was little, when I put my nose up against a tree and say Chetiwahe. It's a Lakota language and it means family. And when I was working on Kelly's case, it was like somebody just cut open this sack of information, of note messages that I'd been leaving myself in the past, and someone cut open the sack and everything just fell out in front of me. And since then I've been sifting through everything and having revelation after revelation after revelation, and it's just been very overwhelming, because it's like finally everything makes sense. Even when I take all of this to court, I have now been able to present it in a way that makes sense and will make sense in court, because what my gift is now undeniable. What they deemed to be a mental illness has now been proved scientifically without a reasonable doubt, that this stuff is real and the supernatural is real. And I had to do battle with some very dark people, some very twisted minds, some very sinister thinking, evil behaving, evil actioned people, in order to get this far. And it's like I have never felt more protected as I do right now, knowing that there is a man out there who is watching me, whose ancestors are surrounding me while I speak my truth, to put this message out there to anyone who is afraid of speaking their truth, of standing in their truth, of embracing their Indigenous birthright. Our power is behind us, with our ancestors guiding us, and we cannot stay quiet because our planet is suffering because of it. We were put here as guardians, and it is up to us to face our fears and have faith that what we were put through and what we are being put through has its purpose and meaning that is far greater than our pride and our ego, because it is because of our pride and our ego that we are afraid to put ourselves out there. But I would rather take my last breath fighting for my truth and seeking justice and doing the right thing by the people and by the planet than by doing it just for myself. Because I know I have raised good boys who are turning into incredibly dedicated, loyal and devoted men. So they are my legacy, regardless of anything else that I do going forward. My sons are my legacy, and they are what I am most proud to leave behind when I go. I have nothing to lose now and everything to gain, and so I am pushing forward with my message, regardless of what anyone says, regardless of what anyone thinks, because I am not just speaking for me, I am speaking for my ancestors, and I am speaking for my Papatūānuku. And she has been calling me to this journey since I was 5 years old. And now that I know that I have my man in the fire reassuring me that I am safe and I'm protected, I will continue to charge forward. Now, the second passage that it fell onto, which I gasped, because it's everything that I was just saying. And it is Matthew 7:13, the narrow and wide gates, and it simply says, enter through the narrow gate, for wide is the gate and broad is the road that leads to destruction, and many enter through it. But small is the gate and narrow the road that leads to life, and only a few find it. So take the high road or the low road. You know, you can take the path that is most commonly travelled, that everybody goes on, that everybody goes down, that leads to destruction, the Schumann resonance, you know, engulfing your psychological mind, dragging you down into the depths of despair and addiction and depression and sadness and, you know, mental health and paranormal activity, because your ego won't let you see past the need to ascend. Take the easy road and be like everybody else, or take the hard road and follow your faith, and regardless of what people say, regardless of what people do, regardless of what you lose, regardless of what people try to do to stop you from taking the narrow path, the road less travelled, you are guaranteed the riches and the rewards of the kingdom of heaven, whatever your heaven is for you that is waiting on the other side. And for me, my heaven is getting to do what I love with the man that I love, with my children standing beside me. And that's exactly the road that I'm heading down. I'm going to Canada. My boys and I are going to Canada. We are going to move to Toronto. I'm going to start my radio station. I'm going to make my shows. I'm going to employ Canadian people. I'm going to open the Alchemist Cavern there. I'm going to build my children's home, and not a damn thing can be done to stop me, because all roads lead to heaven, and heaven is, to me, where my heart is, and my heart is in my work and in my future, my legacy. My heart is my legacy, and nobody can take my heart from me. So I will never give up, and I will never give in. So I'm going to leave links in the description box below so you can see everything that I've been documenting over the last course of my lifetime. The last 50 years of my life are over now. And now I begin the next 50, and I feel younger now than I did when I was born. I can tell you that. I can promise you that now. Nothing about me is the same. I don't walk the same. I don't talk the same. I don't eat the same. I don't laugh the same. I don't think the same. I don't act the same. Like the dream that I had when I got hit by the shooting stars that pushed me into the ground and I died, after being surrounded by those wolves, and the man walked out of the fire, and I turned into like Tafiti on Moana. Everywhere I walked, flowers grew. In that dream, I have died and been reborn. It's like I'm sitting in the birth canal, just waiting for the light of the sun, for Aithusa to metamorphosize into reality, which is what I'm doing now with these podcasts. This is the start of my metamorphosis. I am becoming Aithusa, light of the sun. So yeah, I wanted to share that. You don't have to believe in God. You don't have to be a Christian or a Catholic or a Jew to believe in God. Your God is whatever you need him to be. I only recently found God again, which is why I got accused of being mentally ill. And I guess maybe part of my tears I'm mourning the loss of the people I thought I knew were good people, but I had to find out the hard way that they weren't. So I have mourned the loss of that part of me that is embarrassed and ashamed of trusting the wrong people, and that's okay. Because as I said to somebody the other day, when you don't let your emotions out, when you don't cry, you're creating psychological blockages. Strong people cry. Psychologically speaking, strong people cry, weak people don't. And I mean, I cry all the time, so so I must be like Iron Man. Yeah, so I just, my journey is my own, but I share it with you in case there are other people who have chosen to take the narrow path. To know that there is light at the end of the tunnel, and if my voice can be your guide, then I will continue to talk away, which is why I cannot wait to start my radio station. I've been looking into, soundproofing rooms and microphones and headphones and editing equipment, and it's been quite exciting, exhausting but exciting, because I love doing these podcasts so much. And I can't wait to do these shows to, investigate Canada and Alaska and America, and I can't wait. I'm so excited, and because now I see what's coming, it's like I'm bracing myself, because for somebody who's not great at being around a lot of people and crowds, and getting, um, I don't like people looking at me, and I've had to kind of bang drums and smack pot lids together and that, in order to get people looking my way, so that they can hear how important my message is. I am somebody who stands alone, but I am surrounded by our ancestors, and they are pushing me forward, along with the help of my little Red Rock Mountain man stepping out of the fire, reminding me that he's been there standing with me the whole time. So it's just that I had to become the buffalo and see like the eagle, in order to know that he was there this whole time, and that what I thought I was heading to was actually me taking the wide road down the path of destruction. So thank you to my Gideon's Bible for falling at the most perfect place for me to be able to give this little sermon. And if it's helped any of you, then that's why I put my journey on display. Full disclosure. And if you ever need me for anything, my email's going to be in the description box. And know that I love you. I don't know what I'm going to be podcasting yet. I don't know what I'm going to be podcasting next, because I podcast intuitively. The cases drop into my lap. I am reminded of them. They are brought, to the forefront, and then I know, yep, that's where I'm to go. And then I do the research and hit record when I'm ready to speak. So, who knows with me. But I was reminded of my dad today, and he knew. He knew where I was headed. From when I was a little girl, he knew exactly where I was headed. The ironic thing is that he was terrified of his own gift, but he saw it in me and encouraged me to bring it out, because he knew exactly where I was going, and I was heading into a career that he would have absolutely loved. So this is all for him. This is for my dad, and for his Al Rashid and Callaghan ancestors, and for my mum and her Ngāti tribe, and the Fraser ancestors, who Simon Fraser was the last man to be executed at the Tower of London. My ancestors, my people, have been persecuted for centuries upon centuries upon centuries, and it is now that I stand here to clear their name, and to bring justice and honour back to my people, who are responsible for putting me here on this planet. So, you know, next begins the new phase of my life, and I will see you in the future. Ka kite anō. Mwah.